Sometimes I feel like a broken record because I oftentimes describe a series of circumstances or events that I think get talked about so often by myself, it starts to seem redundant. We're just kind of running back in circles over and over. But regardless of if I do that, one of the reasons for doing it is because I think if a topic is not discussed often enough by other people or just in general, I'm going to feel as though it needs to have some kind of recurrence in terms of my usage of it, effectively meaning that the less it's trending, I guess, the more interested I am. So there were two updates with the Afghanistan war this week, and I'll read the article for one of them and then the article for the other. I was planning on doing a separate stream for just one of them, but then I said, these are very quickly coming back 2 days apart, and they're kind of tied together because it's on the same topic. So let's start with the first article, and then we'll go over to the next one. Then we'll kind of get over to the title of the video. Senators Rand Paul and Tom Udall on Tuesday introduced a bill that would end the nearly 2-decade-long Afghanistan war. The 2019 American Forces Going Home After Noble Service Act would have the United States declare victory in Afghanistan and set a 45-day deadline for a plan to withdraw all U.S. forces within a year, according to a statement accompanying the bill's text. It would also set a framework for political reconciliation to be implemented by Afghans. Additionally, the legislation will require the 2001 Authorization for Use of Military Force, AUMF, which is for those of you that are unfamiliar, that's the bill that is credited with giving Bush, then the U.S. president, the authority to go into Afghanistan in October of 2001, which is when the war started. To be repealed at the end of the withdrawal, passed in the days after September 11, 2001 attacks. The AUMF has come under political scrutiny in recent years, and it is still used to bypass Congress in justifying military operations against terrorist attacks. Also, I want to cut it off right here and mention one of the reasons people call a lot of these recent presidents war criminals. So, they'll call Obama a war criminal, they'll call Bush a war criminal, Trump, is because generally, if you have a conflict and it is something you want to go into, if it's not approved by Congress, it's considered an illegal war or some illegal act. So, for example, because I know this lighting is kind of weird, but you'll just have to work with it. Um, to give you an example, in Yemen, which we've been over there for now almost, I think this week is the 4th anniversary. But that was a conflict that was started by Obama without congressional authorization, and is seen as a war crime by virtue of that fact alone, that there was no go ahead by the then Republican led House, or rather, no, Republicans had control of both chambers by then. So you get the point that he never got their approval, which is why people consider it a war crime. So going back to the article, and the bill would have the federal government pay within 1 year a 2,500 bonus to the more than 3 million military service members who have served in the war, a one-time cost of about $7 billion, which is excellent in my opinion. That bonus would be an immediate savings of over 83% of when compared to the current yearly cost, the statement says. Endless war weakens our national security, robs this and future generations through skyrocketing debt, and creates more enemies to threaten us, Paul said in the statement. For over 17 years, our soldiers have gone above and beyond what has been asked of them in Afghanistan, he added. It's time to declare the victory we achieved long ago, bring them home and put America's needs first. Trump administration officials are currently in high-level negotiations with Taliban leadership to end America's longest-running armed conflict. The talks reportedly included a floated plan that would cut the roughly 14,000 U.S. troops in Afghanistan by half in the next few months, with all troops withdrawn within the next 3 to 5 years. So, again, cutting off, one of the things that they like to do when they talk about trying to get out of war is they'll say, and this is something that Obama did, is something that Bush did. Oh, we're going to cut down the number of troops. And you go, oh, then we're going to eventually get out then because you're making less people stay over here. And then, oh my God, new tension over there. We need to add another 2,000. Oh, the conflict is over. Let's bring back 1,000. Oh, new conflict. Let's send 3,000. Oh, that conflict's over. Let's bring back 2,000. So you get it. They pour some stuff in there, but they never fully take it out because they keep adding more and getting rid of a little bit. And it actually is able to trick people into thinking that they're seeing a difference or that something is progressing when there's been no progress. It shouldn't take any country anywhere, especially not the world's superpower, almost 20 years to get out of a war or to win a war, rather. If they had gotten out of it 5 or 10 years ago without declaring victory, nobody would care. He would actually be over relieved that they're whatever. I'm going to get into that later. Rand's office notes that more than 2,300 service members have been killed since the start of the war in October 2001, with more than $2 trillion spent on the conflict. Udall echoed the statement, arguing that the U.S. service members will soon begin deploying to Afghanistan to fight in the war that began before they were born. That is absolutely correct. I always remember the amount of time since Afghanistan's conflict with the U.S. started by just subtracting 3 from my current age because I was 3 when that conflict started. And that's kind of what is so creepy about just, oh my God, the fact that there's actually a group of people who support this is mind-boggling. But let's get back to what we were discussing. The bill was quickly lauded by the Koch-backed Concerned Veterans for America, which said Paul and Udall highlight a growing sense across the country that American military involvement in Afghanistan has run its course and potentially become counterproductive to our interest. The push to end the Afghanistan war appeared elsewhere in Congress on Tuesday with a group of Democrats, progressive lawmakers, including Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Bernie Sanders, sponsoring a pledge from veteran groups to end the forever war. I like that name, the Forever War. That's probably, instead of calling it Afghanistan, we're just going to call it the Forever War. For every time there's some conflict that goes on for years. So now we've read the first article where they lay out the case of why this is bad, why we've been there too long. They made their basically what is my argument, and you'll now see what the top general in the top U.S. commander, and I guess no one ever, what I find really comical is that every time you have a general trying to tell you how great it is to be in some war, no one ever tries to just crap on the profession of top-ranking military officials, because whether you like it or not, most of them have proven themselves to be ineffective in resolving anything. It was generals who told Johnson to stay in Vietnam. It was generals who tried to get Nixon to stay over there. It was generals who've tried to involve pretty much any president, any conflict whatsoever. It was generals who told Bush, Obama, and Trump, hey, let's stay over here. So they don't get it, but whatever. Let's go back to what we were discussing. All right, political conditions in Afghanistan do not merit a U.S. military withdrawal right now, the top U.S. general in the region said Thursday. What a surprise. The political conditions where we are in the reconciliation right now don't merit that. Central Command Chief General Joseph Votel, it's Vote with an L at the end of it, told the House Armed Services Committee. Votel's testimony to the committee comes as the Trump administration's special envoy for Afghanistan negotiations, Zalmay Khalilzad, has been ramping up efforts to reach a peace deal with the Taliban in the 18-year-old war. As part of that, the Pentagon has reportedly floated a plan that would see all U.S. troops leave Afghanistan in the next 3 to 5 years. The Taliban, and again, why does it take that many years just to whatever? All this advanced technology, and it takes 3 years to get out of there. Okay. The Taliban, though, has reportedly rejected the proposal, demanding all foreign forces leave Afghanistan within a year. I love the Taliban's response. See that, man? I'm with them on that one. Just everybody get out of there. Right now, there are about 14,000 U.S. troops in Afghanistan with a dual mission of training, advising, and assisting Afghanistan troops in their fight against the Taliban and conducting counterterrorism missions against groups such as the Islamic State of Syria and Iraq, aka ISIS. And also, guys, you have to ask yourself, does it really take 18 years to train someone in how to deal with do we have to use the same excuses every decade? When we came over there, we're trying to train them to be able to fight this war by themselves. And then almost 20 years later, we're trying to train them to fight this war by themselves. I want somebody to make a cartoon where one of the soldiers from 2001, when this war started, after getting trained by the female officer, they go into some corner and screw, and then they have a child over there, And then the child this year is getting trained just like his father. And the joke of that would be associated with that skit would be that this war has gone on for so long, which was mentioned by Udall, that literally the children of people who fought in it are now in that same conflict. So, under the reported American proposal, the United States will withdraw roughly half of its 14,000 troops in the next few months, and the remaining troops will focus on the counterterrorism mission, whatever the hell that means. The train, advice, assist mission would fall to the European and Australian troops in Afghanistan. On Thursday, Vodal stressed that he has not received any orders to withdraw from Afghanistan. We've not been directed to withdraw, and there are no orders to withdraw anything. See, like that's what I'm saying. That these people, and I keep trying to explain this. When I would sit there and say, "Oh, I hope Trump is able to get North Korea to denuclearize," I wasn't saying that because I think it's impossible to come up with a deal or an agreement that would get Kim to, buck whatever he was doing. I said that because with these last couple of presidents, I really don't get what their deal is. Because, for example, you have Obama get the Nobel Peace Prize and then get involved in 5 more wars. You have Trump trying to negotiate a peace deal with North Korea. At the same time, he's bombing 7 countries. So, like, they have no actual philosophy, and that's why when you talk to a lot of Trump's fans, I say, hey, look, I'm not here to crap on him any more than the media does, but I am simply stating that a lot of people voted for him because they wanted a change. And you guys can sit here and, we can debate the semantics of economics and blah, 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 blah. But as far as foreign policy and just the way you deal with other countries, it's been fairly pretty much a replica. So, and then they'll point to the, Israel, to the U.S. embassy moving to Jerusalem. But, that still is something that just exacerbates tensions with the Palestinians, which the U.S. never cared to be friends with them in the first place. So let's go back to what we were speaking about. Vodal indicated Afghan forces are still not too, oh my God, spelling error, the Hill and their wonderful writing staff. Vodal indicated Afghan forces are still not too ready fight. Wow. Whatever, let's continue. He means ready to fight the insurgents on their own should the United States withdraw prior to a peace deal between the Taliban and the Afghan government. My assessment is that the Afghan forces are dependent upon the coalition support that we provide to them, Vodal said. Lawmakers from both parties expressed deep skepticism at the prospect of success in negotiating peace with the Taliban, with several pointing out that the Afghan government is yet to be brought into the talks. That's a good point. Hey, let's have peace with one side. Let's make peace between 2 sides and not involve one in the talks that are supposed to yield peace. Makes perfect sense. Vodal, though, expressed optimism about progress being made, citing a 3-day ceasefire last year. 3 days out of an entire year makes you happy. Whatever. And Pakistan becoming more helpful, which, again, what does that even mean? See, guys, what I hate about a lot of the rhetoric surrounding these advisors is that they're purposefully. So, for example, with Rand and Udall's bill, it specifies what it wants. It tells you outright, here's the goal, here's what we need to do, here's why we think this is right, whatever, even if you don't agree with it. But in the case of this Vodal, whatever you probably pronounce his name, this top U.S. official there, you have to ask yourself if this person is really getting that excited about a 3-day ceasefire following almost 2 decades of war. What else are they going to get excited about? That's really lukewarm at best. Oh my God, 3 days out of a year, we didn't bomb each other. Woo. And I keep trying to explain that when you have these conflicts going on year after year, it's harder for people to remain interested in it, or at least with some kind of level of optimism, because they're just used to always having this going on and just kind of trying to pretend it's not happening. And it's not made any easier by the fact that the media won't cover any of this stuff. They sit here and talk about the same 3 or 4 topics day after day, week after week, and then these advisors and generals and the other hacks are able to trick regular people into thinking that nothing substantial is going on. Your tax dollars are being wasted in 7 conflicts that I guarantee you 99% of the people who are paying for it couldn't even name all of. And I say that because for a lot of times I can't even name all the wars. We have Pakistan, Somalia, Syria, Iraq, um, Yemen, Libya, and somewhere else. So look, I say that because it's just a lot of stuff to remember. And then you have to get into, when did this one start? Why are we there? What's currently going on? And this prick is telling you about a peace deal that literally doesn't even involve one half of the people who are supposedly taking place, or rather, supposedly going to benefit halfway from this. They're not even involved. And no one thinks that's crazy. So that bill that those two had is really good. This general doesn't know what he's talking about. And like I said before, there's this really weird thing with US generals where they just want to stay involved in any conflict whatsoever for as long as possible. If that general had his way, we'd be over there until I was 100. And even then, he'd probably make sure to spit out a couple of like-minded successors who would push for the same thing. Go and look at the history of the U.S. Every single war we've ever been involved with, there's never been a general who said, "Oh yeah, let's not go over there." The whole reason Mattis, who I respected the most of anyone that's in Trump's cabinet, resigned was that he wanted to stay in a war in Syria. And it's ironically enough, he got his wish, but he still was so pissed off and warmonger crazy that he just said, "If I don't get my way right now, I'm out," and he bailed. But it wasn't because of any of the stuff that people like to pretend, was so serious and disturbing. This is someone who gets a hard on for going and messing with other countries. And remember, none of these people, and I've made this point before, Trump gets a lot of flack for dodging the draft. And I've never, blamed him for doing that because I think the U.S., its draft system is stupid. You treat the people who serve willfully and manage to survive like crap when they come back, which is why a fourth of the homeless are veterans. But I find it really ironic that both Trump and his national security advisor, these two people who dodged the draft, have made a decision to continue being involved in all these different wars. Because you would think to yourself, if they value their own lives to not go and serve over in these other countries and get killed for, in some banana war for no reason other than to appease the heads of state, wouldn't they want to do the exact same thing when they're in power for the people who, now are underneath them? Apparently not. But like I said, it's a cycle that never seems to end. I don't think this war is going to be over anytime soon. I know that they're talking about. I mentioned the plan they want to get out in 3 to 5 years. All that stuff is just more peppery language because every time one of these presidents wanted to stay over there, they would tell you, "Oh, we're going to pull some out." Then they would tell you, "Oh my God, new crisis, let's put some back in." So this is their way of calming people for the moment so that they can come back, screw with us again, and then this stuff gets tacked on for more and more years. More people die that had nothing to do with starting the war, and the rest of us just have to keep on hoping that we eventually get people in power that genuinely are opposed to these kind of conflicts. Because you can't have a country where the people who serve, right, and come back and live are treated like crap, as I just gave you the statistic, and then expect people to willfully join that stuff. Especially when a lot of times, and just why I said earlier, I guarantee you that if you walk down the street right now and ask the first 10 people, they wouldn't even know why we're in Afghanistan. They wouldn't be able to tell you that we're there to provide support and training for the Afghan forces to fight the Taliban. I guarantee you that. It doesn't mean they're stupid. It means that we have a media that is failing, which is, that's why I don't like MSNBC or CNN or Fox or any of these networks, to explain to people what is being articulated by those in power, whether it's true or not, what they're stating. And then, actually show what the progress has been, what is new, what's going on. They just don't care. And they're hoping that you won't care. They're hoping that you will continue to be the reservoir of funding for these banana conflicts in other countries. This just let your ignorance of not knowing what's going on continue to permeate while your coins and dollars and hard-earned revenue goes to something you have no dog in the fight for. So have a good day. Stay safe.